Welcome to Between the Business Cards, a podcast that helps business professionals take their network and sales skills to the next level. And now, here are your hosts, Martina Niemeyer and Brandon Suba.
My name's Brandon Suba. I'm a sales consultant for a couple different businesses.
And my name's Martina Niemeyer, and I'm the Omaha Market President for CenterSphere.
And we are excited to bring the first full episode where we're going to cover a topic, and the theme for the next, quite a few episodes, is going to be I Joined, Now What? As we said, we want this podcast to be a good tool for new members, but also for existing members. And so these are just good practices that between Martina and my experience, we've seen. Hopefully we can eliminate some of the challenges that we have seen people go through. And today's topic is a pretty good one. So if you joined, you probably want to find a home. Although I'm going to preface it that with the queue is pretty cool.
The queue is pretty cool, and it's independent membership, and that just means that you have access to the entire network. You just don't have a chapter that you have a weekly commitment to. Now, I will tell you, and I always tell new members this when they're looking for a chapter, you will get more out of the relationships that you're building and things like that. If you are in a chapter, you're going to get that return on investment almost a little bit quicker because you're going to see those same people every single week. But while you are looking for the right chapter to join, the queue is great. And sometimes, depending on the person, depending on their industry and their availability, it can be a place that you want to stay for a little while or maybe indefinitely. We do have a few members that choose to do that.
Well, you have some industries that don't always have open spots. Yes. That's where my brain always goes to. But then back in the day when I first got into networking, I was a countertop salesman, and there were not a lot of countertop salesmen within the networking world. But like we said, it is good to have a home because that is your consistency. That's your Ruha team. But if you are able to go visit other chapters, well, wait. That's what we're going to talk about today. Oh, well, perfect segue. So you always have the queue as an option, but here are some good tips and tricks when you join to find yourself a home.
Well, and the other thing is even once you find that home, you can still visit chapters.
Of course.
So even if you have a chapter that you go to that you love, that's great, but this doesn't necessarily mean this episode isn't for you. You can still get a lot out of this because chances are you can still utilize some of these tools for visiting chapters, you know.
Oh yeah, the practices that we're going to throw out at you are going to be really helpful for your credibility. Because I'm a firm believer, the best thing you can do is build good credibility with everybody within the network, because then you have a good name, top of mind when it comes to a referral opportunity, and it just shows that you care. You're good at business, and we want to refer those type of people.
Sure. Absolutely.
So the first one is going to be reaching out to a group before you visit. And we're going to bleed into our next on the list here, I believe. Well, shoot, let's just throw out the hub right now. Okay. So go ahead. You're the expert on the hub.
So the hub is a database that if you are a CenterSphere member, you have access to. It's going to list all of our chapters. It's going to list all of our members, actually, nationwide. And that's a huge opportunity for you. But if you want to look just directly in your area, we have a lot of search tools and functions within that to make sure that you are being able to target where you're wanting to find a chapter or even individuals or specific industries, whatever that happens to look like. We are focusing on chapter visits today, so we are going to talk a little bit about how you would use the hub to do that, and then what things you're looking for when you are using the hub for that. So to look something up on the hub as far as finding a chapter, you go into that chapter search function and you put in all the things you need to do, and it'll spit out a list of industry openings. Now, why is it important to have an industry opening, Brandon?
Well, the groups are industry specific. Now, you can visit a group that has exclusive. I always do that.
I know, we did this the last time.
Because they can be exclusive. You can visit a group that has someone that represents your business, but it better be because you're starting a group or you're on a leadership team and you want to see what this group does that's very successful. And we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this today. But you wouldn't say anything. You wouldn't have the opportunity to talk about your business because your competition or someone that represents that group is already in there. So when you're looking for a chapter to visit and you want to join, first you want to make sure that your position is open.
Right. So just to make sure that that's super clear, if you're a landscaper, you want to make sure there's nobody else in landscaping. If you're a financial advisor, you want to make sure there's nobody else in financial advising, and so on and so forth, because it allows you a couple of different things. You get to be that expert in that space. You get to be that referral connection that people think of top of mind, and you don't have any competition in the chapter. You get to kind of be able to speak, as a position of authority with that group of people. So it's really important, and that's the reason that we have it set up that you can search that way, but it's also the reason the chapters are set up for that purpose and in that capacity. So, yeah.
Now, the next thing you want to look at is date and time.
Yes.
I wish this was a joke, but I have met many people that they go visit a group, they commit to that group, and then they turn around and say, gosh, this day and time is just horrible for me. I don't know why people do that, but it does happen. I believe it's because you get so inspired by the culture and the people in the group that it's like, yeah. But if you have a standing meeting at 10:30 every Tuesday and your group meets at 10 or even 11 every Tuesday, that's not a good fit, because you're always going to be struggling to make it on time or to stay the whole meeting. So in the search function, you can break it down from day, and then from there you can see what time the groups are meeting.
Yeah.
Make sure you pick one that fits well for you.
Yes, and location plays into that as well.
Yeah.
It's always really easy in June to say, sure, I could drive 30 minutes across town to a meeting, but we live in Nebraska, so if you're listening to us and you live somewhere else, I'm so glad you found us.
Yeah.
But we live in Nebraska, and we have about 4 or 5 months of the year that weather could be a contributing factor as to why that meeting might not be the best for you. Maybe there's snow, ice, high winds, whatever. And so, you definitely want to make sure that location is not just feasible in the months that it's nice to drive, but feasible in the ones that it's not so nice.
Okay. So location, time, and day. Those are 3 things that you need to make sure fit well for you before you make that commitment. Now, let's go back to the list. So as you're looking to make sure that your spot is open within there, you can also see if there are potential referral opportunities in there. Let's just use the landscaper as a great example.
Sure.
If you're a landscaper and you see that there's other companies in there like Hardscape, but they don't do landscaping, or maybe you have somebody that has home services and landscaping is not part of it.
Sure.
Those are great opportunities and great people that you should surround yourself with, because they're going to be around the same clientele that you're looking for. Now, if you're looking at 3 different groups, and one group, maybe it's really heavy in the financial, right? Like a financial planner, a banker, and it just doesn't really seem to be they're going to always be around the people that you want to meet with. That may be a group that goes on lower on the list, just because, again, you want to set yourself up for success so you're getting the most out of your investment.
Yes. And so you may love the culture of a particular group. And I have it happen all the time that people are like, well, I know there's not a ton of connections in there, but I love that group. That may work really, really great for you. And you may find a lot of benefit in it. However, there are other people that when they have the conversations with me, they say, I loved everything I experienced. However, I need people that are going to be these direct referral partners right away, where it's going to be, they're coming in front of homeowners, they're coming in front of other people looking for financial services. People will ask me, do we have groups that are specifically targeting certain industry sections, right? Maybe they have a lot of people in senior living or something like that. Not necessarily. They tend to just find one another. So, and they're doing that because of this exact thing we're talking about. They know that those are going to be great referral sources for them. So they are inviting other people from those types of industries to join their chapter. And all of a sudden they're a chapter where, 8 of the people in there happen to work within senior living services in some capacity, whether it's home health or medical care or, the finding a facility for someone. There's all sorts of things that then play into that. Estate attorneys, all of that. And they didn't do it on purpose. It's not like they set out to have a group like that. They just ended up in that direction. And we have that with a couple of chapters with the trades. We have that with a couple of the chapters with just home services themselves. It just happens naturally. Don't think that it's just on purpose.
No. But if it is on purpose, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You do find when groups start growing with that mindset, it is good. But that's for another episode.
That is.
That's not today. And then we said at the beginning, reach out to the groups that you're visiting. When you see the list, you're going to see the leadership team. I highly recommend you reach out to the president. Yep. I think sometimes we get in our mind that if their title is president, that, oh, well, they're untouchable, and that's not. They're going to be the ones that really do want to talk to you because their goal is to help the group succeed, be it through growth, referral, leadership, whatever it is. The president is going to have the best pulse of the group, so they're going to be great to talk to see, what's this culture like? What is the fit like? What are you guys working on this year? Because I know groups go from growth mode into referral mode, and it's neat to see those. But the president is who you'd want to reach out to, and they'll give you tips and tricks if there's anything you need to know about getting to the location. We have a lot of construction in Omaha, and sometimes it's very difficult to get to some of the meeting locations. They can just let you know, go past the turn Google's going to tell you to take and backtrack a little bit. Right. So reaching out to the leadership team before you visit is also another great practice. Plus, now they're expecting you, and it's always good to be expected.
Well, and our chapters are mini organizations inside a larger organization. That's how I refer to them, and that's how I view them in my role, because they really do have the autonomy to do what they want. So what that means is maybe they aren't meeting that particular week at their regular meeting, and they're going to go to somebody's lake house and have a fun, social evening. Maybe they're going to have a happy hour. Maybe they're going to go out to breakfast, whatever that happens to look like. They are trying to get to know each other on a deeper level. That's the whole relationship building piece that they're doing. And so they're going to do that in a variety of different capacities. If you just assume you can drop in on them on a random, September day, you may not find them in that space. That's frustrating for you, and it's frustrating for them because they want to make sure that you have a great experience at their chapter. And so if you reach out to that president, that day and time is going to work well for them. Also as we head towards the end of the year, we do have some chapters that they may say this is a closed door meeting, right? Meaning that we don't want any guests or anything because we are going to talk about goals for our chapter, individual goals, different things like that. All of these chapters have the ability to do that in their own time and in their own, cadence. And so we want you to check with them before you show up to an empty room, so that they know you're coming and they can welcome you in the way that they want to welcome you, and everybody can have a great experience. So.
I drove to Beatrice one time. It's an hour-and-a-half drive. Then I was there for a 7 a.m. meeting, and I did not check in with them before because I sent all of my visits early, and they weren't there. So that was neat. I hope none of you are driving an hour and a half to go to your meetings. This was for a different purpose, but it does happen. So reaching out ahead of time, knowing the plan, and having a date locked in will benefit you greatly.
Yeah. Also, as we do head into a time frame where we do have weather that plays into it, they then know if you're planning on visiting them, if the weather happens to be a factor in whether or not they are meeting, they can reach out to you and let you know, hey, they've decided not to, or something along those lines. I had a chapter that got all new furniture at the location that they were meeting at, and they didn't necessarily know that until morning of. So that was helpful if they knew they had guests coming, because they could specifically reach out to those people. And, if they just had people who were dropping in, well, then those people got to see new furniture being brought into a building. They weren't there. They had just actually moved their meeting down the street to a restaurant, and they were doing the meeting. It was just seriously about 3 blocks away. So it'd be good if they knew you were coming, so they can give you a phone call and you can join them for breakfast instead of,
See new furniture.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up with being respectful to the group. And I hate to use the word don't, but these are things, well, I guess these are a lot of do's versus don'ts, but these are things that we have seen that hurt a visitor's credibility, and you really want to have a good first impression. So I'll take the first one. Be on time. I'm sure a lot of us have heard the saying, if you are early, you're on time. If you are late, or if you're on time, then you are late. This holds true with a group that you're visiting. And I'm not talking an hour, half an hour. Actually, it's really weird when you're that early. but at least 10 minutes before the start time, I think would be good.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Give yourself a little bit more time in case of traffic and all of that. But your first impression is showing up on time. And that means a lot because these are very structured meetings that generally do start on time. If not, it's just a little networking and you want to take part of that too.
Yeah. I have somebody in the network that we know and love, and he always says, it's Dave Swearingen, and he always says that the business happens on the bookends of the meeting. So be there for the bookends, right? And so that being on time piece is really great because there is a lot of relationship building that goes on. Once you get into the meat of the meeting, there's not a lot of time for those side conversations without being rude to the speaker or missing something potentially in somebody's 60-second or something like that. And so it's really good to allow yourself just a little bit of margin on each end so that you are able to get there, build the relationships that you want to, all of that. But then also, like you said, allow for traffic and allow for, construction because that's our world. And then allow for finding the place. Just because you've arrived at some place doesn't mean it's not on the third floor, second door, then you walk down this hallway. And believe me, there are some kind of windy ways to get to some of the meetings, and you've given yourself time to get lost once and ask for directions.
Still find it. Number 2, stay in your lane. We talked a little bit about knowing if your competition is in the room. Martina, I want you to share your example, though, because I thought it was really good. Because it's not direct, but it's still something you want to be conscious of.
So it's no secret that a lot of people do more than one thing. Okay, and so when you look up in the hub, like, we're going to use landscaping again, right? Oh, I'm a landscaper and I want to go visit chapter whatever, right? And you go to visit them and they have a tree trimmer, okay, an arborist. Okay, they don't do full-blown landscaping, so the two of you could actually exist quite nicely in the same chapter. You probably could be referral partners for each other. However, if you walk into this chapter and you start talking about all of the services that you offer, and one of those services happens to be tree trimming, that feels like you're stepping on toes. This person has already established themselves in the chapter. And the other thing is that the chapter members start to get uncomfortable too, because this is their friend, right? And they know what he does for his business. And here I sit and I want to promote my business, and that's great, but I maybe can promote a lot of the other aspects that go into the landscaping and let him have that piece. Staying in your lane, it's not that much. Then when you're out at somebody's house or in a one-to-one, you can mention the other things that you do. We're not telling you can't ever talk about what all you do and what encompasses working with you, but inside the meeting for sure, you're staying inside that lane so it's really clear to all of the chapter members and any guests that might be there how they can refer people back and forth and how you all could work together. They can start to get a really clear picture. You don't want to muddy the waters. And when you start saying, I can do everything, you're just in very muddy territory.
Right. And again, credibility. If that tree trimmer arborist could be a phenomenal referral partner for you, if your first impression is trying to poach in their seat, not always on purpose, I get it, but that still comes off as kind of a bad first impression. Hard to build credibility after that, where if you come in, stay in your lane, they're going to respect that. They're going to be a great referral partner opportunity then.
Well, and that even goes back to, circling back, all of this stuff like works together, right? It even goes back to contacting that president, okay? Yep. Because if you've seen on the list that there is an arborist in there and you're like, well, how much do they do in the landscaping space? Because maybe their primary thing is being an arborist, but they also do some of these other things. You want to have that conversation with the president. The president's going to know their business really well. Yep. And if the president doesn't, they might create a professional connection so that you can ask those questions and make sure that it's still going to be a good space to have you go visit. Again, it's that credibility piece. Yep. And the more you can build that, the better. So.
And last, and I don't think this is the last time we'll talk about this. Actually, we have an episode planned to focus around this, so we'll keep this brief as we close out here. But stay off your phone.
Stay off your phone.
Stay off your phone.
It is just so incredibly distracting to others around you. We've even talked about arriving early and staying a little bit late to prevent extra conversations from being had in the middle of a meeting. Giving your attention to the speaker communicates a lot. It means that you're there intentionally You're not there just, oh, you're checking a box for the day. It sounds really great. No, you're there intentionally. You're there to pay attention, to learn something. View every opportunity of visiting a chapter as an opportunity to meet some new people. If you're not paying attention, you won't hear what they actually need, what they actually do. Same thing with the speaker. Most of them, there's an opportunity to learn off of that. We don't know all the details of what everyone does for their jobs. And so when you can sit down and listen to what they have, you might have a nugget that you take away, or you might even learn something about a presentation that you plan to give in the future. And you're like, oh, that's a really great, there's all sorts of opportunities. But if you're not paying attention and you're on your phone, it's just rude.
Now, I've had people battle me on this one, but Martina, I take notes on my phone through the meeting. Okay, number one, if you've been part of the group for a long time and they're aware that you do that and you even reference that from time to time, awesome. Keep it up, and your credibility is good because they know you do that. But if you're visiting a group for the first time, it's really hard to let them know that that's what you're doing. Worst case scenario, bring pen and paper, and then you can be writing down. Yes. That's personable. People don't take that as you're just on your phone, but there are people, they're answering their emails, they're answering text messages, they are doing business during the meeting, when really you should block this out as one of the most important meetings of your week, because this is where the highest potential of referrals are going to come from. And having that credibility and showing that respect, I think, is huge.
It is.
But we'll get more into that on.
And if pen and paper isn't your style and you're more techie, there are lots of apps out there that you can actually have take the notes while you pay 100% attention to that person. Let AI do that work. I know that you need to use AI as a tool. It's not a fallback to do everything, but let them do that. Let that thing. I don't know if it's a them or it's a thing.
It's a thing.
And let it do that work, and that will actually make it so you can fully pay attention, but yet you still have notes when you walk away.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think we covered it. So visiting a group, do your research, talk to the leadership team, set up a good time and date that works for you, and get out there and visit. Oh, and visit a couple groups. Don't just log into one. I made that mistake in 2008. That's how long it's been. And I ended up just joining the first group. They were a great group. I respect all of the relationships that I made within that group. But looking back, there were probably some other groups that would have been more beneficial for the business I was in at that time. But again, culture is going to be another piece too. You want to make sure that you're going to enjoy these people because you're going to see them every week.
Well, and definitely if you don't know how to do that on the hub, if you have questions about anything that we've talked about here, please reach out. My email address is martina@centersphere.com, and I am here to help you. I want you to be able to go and visit the chapters and make the connections that you are looking to do. So I'm happy to help in that way. Definitely reach out if you have some questions about anything that we talked about. And if you don't reach out, you see us at groups, come up and let us know. We'll make it a point to make a note to reach out to you then, because I know sometimes this gets put on the back burner, but we know the benefit, so we're excited to help. Absolutely. All right. Well, with that, check us out on the YouTube channel for Center Sphere. Hopefully you're listening to this on any podcast station that you enjoy listening to, and we look forward to talking to you on a future podcast.